Good evening, and welcome to the Immersive Experience, a podcast about you, from you. And tonight we are raw conversations in uncharted territory, and we're still talking about narcissism and self awareness tonight. So, you guys, I thank you so much for joining me. If you could go ahead, Miss Yanni, and we're gonna start with you, and we're gonna let you do your Instagram, where they can follow you at, and stuff like that, and then China, and then mental. Okay.
Okay, hey everybody, it is Yanni. This is my first official show. Second, first, I'm not sure, but I am the owner CEO of Wealthy Womb Yoni Steams. I specialize in handcrafted herbal blends, infused bath salts. I make pre-brewed tea. I have one right now that people absolutely love. It's called Richest Brew. You can follow me at Wealthy Womb LLC on Instagram and Wealthy Womb Yoni Steams on Facebook. That's it.
All
Miss
right.
China.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is China. You can just find me on Instagram. Um, just China, just like the name you see is not doll, just China. And I'm here again for maybe like the third or fourth show or a fifth. Can't keep a count on me.
Awesome. Hi, guys. My name is Narissa, and I am the owner of Queen's Closet and QC Studios. And I don't know how many episodes I've done. I've done a lot, and I'm happy to be here again.
Oh, and mental, author of Overstanding Darkness, occult specialist. It's about it.
All
Short
right.
and
Well,
sweet.
thank you guys. Okay, real short and sweet. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if you want to follow us here at the Immersive Experience on Instagram, it's the underscore Immersive Experience, and you can catch us there anytime, every time. I do want to hop back in. J Rail said he might hop on, he might not. I know that's where we left off the last time because why your bitch put you out, nigga. But anyways,
Oh
whereas I
no,
know
that's
that's the
what we
Woo!
question.
doing?
That's where we
Because
came
I know
back for
that's
a
the
part
question
two.
that we was talking about earlier and stuff like that. So, but we were talking about narcissism and how it plays out in relationships and different things like that. I do want to ask you guys a question before we move into. Oh, look at that, Nunu. How you
I had
get
to
pushed
go.
out?
I had to go share it. I forgot to share it before I entered the room to my
Okay,
page.
so the first question we're going to talk about is how would you describe your self perception? And I also want you to talk about it, how you seen yourself back then, if you had a view of yourself back then, and then how your perception has changed now. But how do you guys view yourself? China Doll, do you want to start us with that one?
Um, sure. How do I view myself? I view
Mm-hmm.
myself as the shit.com and I'll just play. Just playing. No, but but
Uh,
I view myself as spiritual. I view myself as a person that's allowed to overcome anything. I view myself as strength.
all right.
I can hear everybody except for her. Did she cut out? Is it me?
No, I heard her. She said it.
Oh, she done. Oh, she
She
stopped
done.
Yeah,
talking.
she's done.
Oh, okay. Miss Yanni, how would you describe your self
Hold on,
perception?
my thing is it keep cutting out.
I
There
hear
you
you
go.
now.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
You back.
Is you?
I'm back, y'all. My Wi-Fi is cutting out.
Okay, perfect. So, Miss
Okay.
Yanni, how would you describe your self perception?
Present day, I would say realistically, I am still a work in progress,
Mm-hmm.
but because I'm able to deal with reality better now, it makes things a lot more easier for me. Because I know you said previously that we can kind of go back a little bit. At one
Yeah.
point in time, it's funny that the topic is still narcissism. Because the reason why I had, like, one of the main reasons why I had the mindset that I had last week when I wanted to join is because I, at one point in time, had a lot of narcissistic behavior going on. And as an adult, I'm able to look back and say that is actually what it was. I literally would sit up here and try to lie my way through everything because I just didn't want to accept the reality. And it made life way harder than it needed to be. So now I'm at a point where it's like, shit, it is what it is, from, friendships, relationships, hardships, lessons that I learned. But I still got, a little ways to go. I can still be kind of stubborn. But
I agree
I'm
with
doing what I got to do.
Okay, I like that. Thank you for that
Yeah.
transparent answer. I love that. Because like I'm gonna be honest, when we still going through shit, how often you think we want to talk about the shit that we still going through or the progresses that we still in? Because a lot of times the way I look, I think about myself and how I used to view myself, like how I look to other people very recently, not like no, Narissa, like I'm always like, I'll be checking, like, am I crazy, bitch? Like, that's why I'll call somebody. I need to know, like, am I going through the phases? And if somebody else can help me see me, then it's easier for me to get that self-awareness about myself, to understand, like, this why you spazzing, this why you acting like that. Cause
Right.
you missing a piece of something. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. Nunu, how would you describe your self-perception?
A lot more open minded these days. I was brought up in a very closed minded family. So I like to call it that crabs in the barrel mentality. I thank
Mm,
God that I was able to grow out of, because it that creates a lot of blockage. I know one saying that has set in with me since I've gotten older, that allows me to have a lot of patience for people. Something that I don't have is people only understand from their level of perception. Once I
right,
got an understanding of that, I have been able to deal with people a lot better, understand other masters, because like I always, we talk about this all the time. I always like to put myself in somebody else's shoes so I can understand their emotions from their level of perception. Like I can't relate to you if I can't understand you. So let me
right,
try to,
Empathy.
I'm saying, jump. Let me jump in your head with you real quick, so I can. So then when I jump back out, it's like, okay, I may not, act on this way, or handle this way, but after checking you out, I can see how you would fit. I can see why you made the decision that you made.
right. I agree with
So
that.
that
I
helped me a
feel that.
whole lot, with my growth, and I
So
still got a
being
lot of growing to do.
being empathetic helped you a whole lot.
Yeah, because like I always say, like I grew up in a real. We didn't. It was no such thing as sitting down and marinating in sadness or nothing. It was come on, get up. We ain't doing that. We gotta keep on going. We gotta keep going. I never that was a good thing, but it also kind of messed me up in a sense, because I wouldn't deal with a lot. I would just sweep it under the rug and keep going. Like, all right, I don't got time for that. When in
So you
reality, I
suppressed
should
your
have been.
feelings.
Absolutely, I would have. I didn't. I don't. And I still do to a certain extent. Out of a lot of stuff, I don't say I won't say I don't deal with it. I just kind of put it in my back pocket, like, I'll worry about that later. So I don't know. That's why I
Right.
say I still got work to do, because even that's not healthy all the time.
It's not. I think a lot of people deal with it. That's how depression seeps in, and we don't recognize it.
Hmm.
That's why I cry. I don't even begin. I call Rissa and just start crying out of nowhere.
And I
I
hang
gotta get it
on her.
out.
Yeah.
You just
I like that. You gotta have places where you could be safe. Jarrell, so what we're talking about right now is what we're doing is describing our self-perception, how we view ourselves, how you feel about yourself. Can you give us your self-perception? Describe your self-perception of yourself.
Oh, that's a mix. I
Yeah.
mean, at times, like I know I'm dope. At times, a lot of people say I'm cocky. I'm more or less confident than cocky. Um, and then at times, like I'm bad on myself. So it varies. Like I know I ain't a bad person. I know I ain't a bad dude, nothing like that. But I based on my decisions, that kind of sway my mind in a lot of ways. So it varies. It's like up and down. It's not too bad, not too good at times. I'm working on it being better. So I got a lot I'm fighting through with that.
Okay. I
I
understand
feel
that. And I do want to encourage, I'm sorry, I do want to encourage the people who are watching. If it's a question that you can relate to, go ahead and put your answer in the comments. We do talk back, so do not worry about that. We are here to engage with you just as much as you're here to engage with us, and that's why we're live. Jarrell, did you have anything else that you wanted to add to that?
nah, that's it for the most part.
All right, mental. How would you
Well,
describe your self perception?
I would say, I just take more of a fundamental aspect of it. Either I'm getting better or I'm getting worse. We got to realize we're evolving on a multi-dimensional planes at the same time, emotionally, mentally, socially, morally, spiritually, solely. All these things are happening to us all at the same time, and we're trying to get a grasp of it. But right now, I'm more with Nunu as far as, when I something gets me upset about something else, about somebody else or someone's doing something. The only way it could get me upset if something that I see in them in me. So I look at everything and all people as part of myself. And, so that way it allows me to view everything from a different point of view, that spiritual point of view, where it isn't about me.
Right.
It's
Right.
never about me. You know what I'm saying? If I
It's
know that they're going through things, that's something I don't like about me. So the only reason I'm getting upset is because of me. Most
right.
people respond. Most people's anger is a response to other people's problem.
Mm-hmm. I agree with
So,
that.
so I try to make sure that that is something I do not do
I agree. I
as
think
I evolve.
for me, my self perception, I will say that I'm just like I'm like all of you, but really closely more related to Jay, simply because like for my entire life, I held myself down because of my perception of myself. Because so many people had told me, or it was their perception of me that I applied to myself. So anything
Right.
you could think of, I put myself in that particular. Oh, I'm an asshole. Oh, okay, well I'm gonna show you how an asshole really acts. Oh, so my defense mechanism would kick in a lot more times than not. So my perception played out of that defense mechanism. Oh, they called me an asshole already. Might as well play the part. Oh, you think I remember doing shit like niggas would try to talk to me, and I remember making myself out to be more uglier, more fatter than what I really was. So that when I did get rejected, okay, well, I know why I got rejected. Oh, I was too fat for you. Oh, I was too. So now I would add a lot of buffery to the perception of myself. So even though I did think I was fat, black, and ugly, now I'm making it times 10. Oh, I want to be that 600-pound bitch so bad.
Mm.
So, but my
Self
perception of
destruction.
myself was strictly like a defense mechanism. Oh, you don't have to go and do acting. You're too fat. They're not going to want a fat black girl on TV. And this is me. That's how I viewed myself. That's how I saw myself. But to walk out of that, it's all about self-awareness. It's all about I had to become aware of myself. So just how you were just saying, mental, to see what triggered me and other people. Oh, so you so mad about boop boop boop. Why you mad? Are you mad because your friend used to do the same thing to you and you couldn't speak up back then, but now you see it happening to somebody else and you don't like the way it felt for you, so now you don't want it to happen to that person. That's how I learned to operate out of empathy. Um, so, do you believe self awareness plays a role in understanding narcissism? Um, Jarrell,
You had what? Repeat. I'm sorry. It broke up a little bit.
do you believe self awareness plays a role in understanding narcissism?
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay,
Well, maybe.
elaborate. And you in China said, mm-mm.
I,
I
I,
said no.
and I 100%. When it comes to the whole narcissism thing, I would never believe that it's a mental disorder, because with a lot of things that are mental disorders, most of the time they're taking medicine. You don't take
Right.
medicine for being a narcissist. That's just something that you just
That's somebody that
That's,
needs to view their character.
So
that's,
then you
that's,
do agree that self-awareness would play a role in understanding narcissism if what you're saying is that it's not a mental issue, it's just about being aware of yourself.
yeah.
You
It's
I
just
wouldn't.
being accountable. It's just you
But you're
understanding.
saying that it is accountable. If you're not self-aware, then that's a problem.
I mean,
You can be self-aware and still be a narcissist.
a
I
dog.
now
A,
see, I don't
Is she
know.
saying? Are you? Wait,
You
I'm
know what? I
sorry.
agree. I agree because, like I said, my daughter father, that was the true study of a narcissist. Like he was very well aware of his bullshit. He just chose to dish it out anyway because he could.
Exactly.
at the
They
end of
be
the
See,
very
day,
but
well aware of their
but
bullshit.
it's not
That's a
about that. You got to go deeper into what and the why and the hows. He's functioning on a low conscious level. There's a reason why. There's trauma
But
that's
he
happened. But
already is
most of
aware
us,
of it.
no,
He's
well, hold on.
already
Being
aware that it's
aware of
like that.
something and dealing with something are two different things.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
can be aware of something all day long and deal with nothing.
Well,
no,
that's the point that I'm
And that's
making
what
because
we're
he was
saying.
very aware, but he didn't deal with none of that
He
shit
did
for what? It's
exactly.
But
easier
I
to
wouldn't
let it
call that
be.
self awareness.
mental.
Self
That's
awareness is a category when you say, okay, I'm aware of certain things in my life that's holding me back. That's self awareness. Being aware that the sun shines and the moon comes out at night, okay. But self awareness has to do with self and knowledge of self. So we can't say awareness and self awareness are the same thing.
It
That's
is the
all I'm.
same thing.
That is
No, no,
not the same thing.
that's why I was concerned because the question I'm not sure if I heard it wrong, but you were saying self-awareness. Do you feel like that's an important entity when it comes to dealing with a narcissist, right?
understanding narcissism.
Understanding a narcissist. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I,
Can I?
Gia says narcissism is a manifestation of awareness, positive or negative. One can be self-aware and still be in the same place.
Exactly.
it doesn't matter how deep you go mental. At the end of the day, you make your own decisions. That's just what it is. It's
And if you
no
want to change it, it's
I'm
up to you to
I'm
change it.
I'm with you, but if the decisions aren't going to benefit you, being a narcissist does not benefit them. Being a hater does not kill her. All that doesn't benefit you. You know it doesn't benefit you. That's the self awareness part where you say, you know something? If I'm self aware, I'm going to change the things in self that I do not like.
Not necessarily.
no no.
A narcissistic
Not
person is not
necessarily.
gonna hold on, is not gonna change anything because
No,
either they won't or they can't.
That's
I can.
that's not true. I disagree with that
Because
because
Okay.
there really isn't no
because
I
Want to
can't.
come in there for me?
Choose not.
I'm sorry.
You just 100% choose not to. There really isn't a can't. You can be as self aware as you want it with everything in life. Self awareness really only kicks in when you're in a situation. Perfect example. I'm working on my anger, but my self awareness only kicks in and really shows when I'm in a situation where that anger triggers.
So, are
And
you trying to say that that applies to everybody or just you?
no, self awareness applies to everybody.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about what you just said. That example that you just gave, as far as how you're working on
Yeah,
your anger. Do you
I,
think that self awareness in that light only that applies to everybody, or are you saying for yourself?
in that situation, it's just myself because I choose
Mm-hmm.
or not. I allow a person or a situation or anything to let my anger go to that point. I choose that.
Right.
That's my own
Okay.
self awareness of like, okay, you know what? I know this went bad, but I don't gotta blow up. I don't gotta get mad. I don't have to let this mess up my day. I can just sweep it under the rug and keep going. That's self awareness.
But that's
Just
you
knowing self awareness.
applying self-awareness correctly, because that's
Yeah.
what self-awareness is. Self-awareness is to not
Mm-hmm.
only be aware of yourself, but to
Uh oh.
apply the teachings that
Yes.
will also, that's self-awareness. So to understand the narcissism, I
Holding yourself
disagree with
accountable.
all of whoever agrees with Jarrell. I disagree with you because in order to understand narcissism, you have to have self-awareness. You're never going to make it out of narcissism unless you're
Wait, wait,
aware of the
wait,
shit that you're doing and
I
you're
agree.
making a
wait,
conscious
wait.
decision
Are you
to make the
saying?
choices that you just said that everybody makes to
Are
change
you
that shit.
saying? Are you saying for us to understand ourselves is to understand a narcissist, or are you saying a narcissist is a narcissist? Do they have awareness? I'm confused on the
No, she's
question.
saying that if you are self-aware of yourself, okay, of you, you will understand, or you'll be able to know what a narcissist is going, or you'll be able to know that, oh, this is a narcissist, he's not for me, only because, not necessarily whether he's a narcissist, he treats you bad, he cheats on you, only because you say, I'm here, I'm not going over there, this is what I like, this is how a person has to treat me, period, point blank. It could be a narcissist. It could be a good person. It could be a church person. It could be anyone. But there's a standard when you're self aware. You know, I'm here. I know what I want. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. So therefore, I know how I'm going to let a person treat me. I know how I'm going to let a person not treat me. If a person is this, I'm going to get away from
So
it.
this
If
is
a
not
person is this,
reflecting on this. So you're saying this is not reflecting solely on the narcissist themselves. This is reflecting on the person to understand
absolutely.
that.
Okay.
Oh, well, I got the
Absolutely.
question.
No, no, no.
I was
Absolutely.
confused.
That's where I'm
So,
lost.
like we said last time, there's two different ways. Either this, you deal with a narcissistic person because there's a spiritual benefit. The only way you can get to the next level is dealing with a narcissistic person to learn something about you. Everything that happens to us on the outside of us is for us to learn about us. Period.
That's
There
where
is no discussion. That's
that's where
it.
that's where I'm lost.
So saying that when you have knowledge of self, you start to realize why the things are happening and things of that nature, and you can adjust accordingly. When you just aware of it but don't have the willpower, or you're under trauma, then you can't adjust correctly. This is
Right.
what I'm saying. So when we're talking about knowledge of self, like Miss Desi said, knowledge of self and just being aware are two different things. When you have knowledge of self, you take steps to correct yourself. If you
That's
don't
true.
have knowledge
You
of
can
self,
have,
then you won't be able to take them steps.
but you can have knowledge of self and know that something is completely wrong that you're doing and still do the wrong shit. That's
Hmm.
still self goddamn
So
awareness.
so once again, how deep are we going? Are we
Because
tapping into spiritual and loving things, or are we talking about
we
material
just talking about
things?
self-awareness. We talking about
Self-awareness.
if you know that you need to change something about yourself. I know that eating
Uh-huh.
hamburgers every day gonna make me obese, right? I know
Uh-huh.
that, right?
Uh-huh.
You're
So I'm
aware.
gonna go
You're
to
just you're aware.
Uh-oh.
I'm
You're
aware,
aware of it.
right?
You are not that you know it, you're aware of it, but go ahead.
So isn't that self-awareness?
It's
No,
being
that's just
aware. Go ahead,
awareness.
Dizzy. Go ahead, Miss
So
Dizzy.
you saying in order to be self-aware, you have to practice the things that you're aware of that you need to change about yourself, is what you're saying.
Yes.
In
Absolutely.
order,
It's just
self
it's basically
awareness is
shedding
the
light on your
ability to
Absolutely.
flaws and knowing where you
recognize and
need to work on.
understand your own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It involves being conscious of your strengths and weaknesses, as well as your impact on others. When you are self aware, you have a deeper understanding of your values, beliefs, and motivation. This awareness allows you to make more intentional choices and engage
There
in
it is.
self reflection. It's like having a mirror to better yourself,
Okay,
to
but where in
understand
that does
yourself.
it
That's what
say that you
self
have to
awareness
practice
is.
those in order to have self-awareness? Where
It
in
just
that does it say that?
read it
I
again because
think
it
that
just said it. Read it
I
again.
think
It
I
said
think that is
this awareness allows you to make more intentional choices and engage in
Choices.
self
I
reflection.
choose
So,
to
self
practice or
awareness,
not.
you're
Hold
going to
on.
make more
It's
intentional choices.
self-reflection, not just choices. Self-reflection and doing things that's going to
Yep.
be better for you, no one else.
So I guess I don't know if that's what
Let
you
me,
mean trying to by practicing it, like You practicing it by putting in that work, basically. If that's what you're
Yes,
trying to say.
Right.
yes.
Yes.
There's work to be done with knowledge of self, self awareness. There's work. If you ain't doing the work, then you're not self aware.
Right.
Okay.
You
Okay.
just talking the
You just
game.
Uh,
existing.
I know how to
Ayum
make $1 million, but
narcissistic.
I won't do one step to get to that million. Nothing. I won't do anything. I'm aware of it, but I'm not doing anything.
Right.
Like my
Ayum
brother,
said
I get angry. I work on the
And
anger.
then that's where that stagnancy come in at. Oh, I know, I'm gonna get it,
Right.
I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do
Right.
it.
And
I'm
it
gonna
never
get
happened.
there.
I know how to do it, but I'm
and
not putting in that work.
how aware of you are you of self if you keep ending up in the same spot? You not that aware of yourself because there go Oberush. There's that little
Thank
snake that keep eating his tail. You a part of the vicious cycle. At this point, you're not aware. So you say
But you know
you
what?
aware, but are you really aware?
But you know what? I'm gonna say this, and I want y'all opinion on it. So the situation I was just dealing with the guy I was just dealing with. And I'm talking about, I fought hard to get to detach myself from him. I was very, very aware that I was not being treated correctly, that I deserved better, that I was significantly lowering my status to deal with him. But because of my flesh, I continued to deal. But I know I gotta leave him alone. It was just about me putting in the work to finally detach. But I was self-aware this whole time, self-aware of myself and my value. I just chose to continue to
Self
decrease my value
awareness is
by
a
dealing with him.
Listen,
choice.
I was
you
You got
were
to
self-aware and I
choose.
was
aware.
aware. But I
You were
still continued to
aware
practice.
that you were dealing with someone that wasn't treating you right. You chose to stay with that person.
You
Okay.
weren't tired
Self
yet.
awareness would be
Yeah.
you're aware this person is not treating you right and you're taking steps to get away from this person.
Right, but I felt like I also was self-aware of my values, of what I'm not supposed to be dealing with, taking, and how
But
I'm
you
used to
wasn't
being
because you
The
were
treated.
truth,
Obviously
dealing
not.
but
But I
No,
see,
was
no,
but
no.
though.
Hold
see,
on.
hold on.
I
But see, the
disagree.
truth is, the truth is, when it comes to situations like this, you can do all the work, you can do any and everything that needs to be done. But until you are actually ready, until you are tired, in that type of situation, I think that we have all been there, whether it be a significant other, whatever. I don't like to just have everything based around relationships because it's way more, it's way more damaging
Hmm.
shit that takes place. But in these cases, we don't move and break away from it until we are absolutely positively tired. And that's what it took for. Like you knew, like you just said, you know your worth, you know the
That's what
situation,
it
you
is.
know how
Self
this person
worth.
is. You have to be completely tired. A lot of
Yeah,
these
just
people,
like
they
throughout
backs
the
are
whole
against the wall,
throughout the
and it's
whole situation, I was very aware. Like, I deserve so much better than this bullshit he dishing out. Like, I know I
but you
deserve
wasn't
it. I
tired.
know
It
shit.
was it
I've
took for
been
you to
treated
be
way better
tired,
than
and
that.
it took for that situation to hit where you was like, you know what, hell no, I'm
Yeah,
good.
it was literally like a light switch. Like, you know what? That's what I needed. You got it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Sometimes
I
it takes
want
for you to be
to
pushed to that limit.
Yeah,
I
and
want
it's
to read the
unfortunate because I
comments
knew before
that
I got pushed to that limit.
I want to read these comments because Ayum, he said, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I don't know. Ayum Veda. Narcissistic personality disorder is clinical. We all are narcissists. What's being described is malignant narcissism. Tarian or terrain. I think I'm in that position now, self-aware but still doing wrong. So what you were talking about, Nunu
Right.
and
That's what made
China,
me say that. I read his comment like
they
that was definitely just me.
they are self-aware. Their narcissism stems from self-hate, and they are aware of. Thus, the idealism stages and devaluation stages. Knowledge of self doesn't equal wisdom or understanding of self. I disagree. Terrain said, I do that now, which means he does the same thing of having knowledge of himself, but choosing not to fix it. He said he thinks it might be a mental health issue. Iwum came back in and said, love is the highest form of understanding. You cannot have love without understanding. Spirituality is life as it is and how one chooses to apply it. That's spiritual
Hmm.
attainment. You cannot regulate a process to a single or dual concept. And I think that goes back to what Bree was just saying. You have to be
Right.
aware of where you are in your journey. And sometimes we like to skip to the end of the process You know, y'all seen
Mhm.
them memes where that boy he on the first step and he got his foot all the way on the last step.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we be doing.
I seen it.
You knew you was trying to walk away. You knew you understood, but you also knew that you were still conflicted. You
Mhm.
couldn't walk away because exactly what Bree said. You wasn't tired enough yet. But you
Mhm.
had your foot on the last step. You might be processing all of this shit, but you can't walk out of it because you're not aware of where you are in a moment. I'm
Maybe
here. I
you
know
know
I'm not
something,
finna. If I know where I'm at in the moment, I know I'm not finna get up tomorrow and go run 5 miles. Bitch, I'm not conditioned to do it.
And that, you know
Mm.
what? Yeah. Because again, like I said, I was letting my flesh talk. You know what I mean when I say I was letting my flesh talk for me.
Oh.
You know, all that took it was blurring my head. Well, you know what I'm saying? It was blurring my head. I'm
Mm.
like,
The
am I
flesh
ready
is
to let it
weak.
go yet? But
but
I
see,
know I deserve to be treated better than this. I've been treated better than this. Hell, I treat myself better than this. But
but
I just continue to let my flesh talk for me.
But this is the problem. We go by what feels good, looks good, smells good, tastes good, sounds good.
And that's exactly
That
what I
is
was
not
doing in this
knowledge of
situation.
self or self awareness. That's going off the animal principle, the body. The physical body would represent the evil and the devil and all the negative stuff in us. Why? Because it wants, it needs, it has to have. It wants not only a house, it wants the biggest house. Not only a car, it wants the best car. It's the lust in us. But the spiritual aspect, the side of us that can see without eyes, hear without ears, smell without a nose, taste without a tongue, that part needs nothing. We're under a balance. So when I say knowledge of self or self awareness, it's aware of the part of us that doesn't need physical reaction or reality to exist. That's what makes us in a world and not of it. Now, I know I said a lot just then. So when I'm talking about self awareness, I'm talking about knowing who we are, not what someone told us we are, not his story or his story, our story. And the only way we get to our story is through knowledge of self. And that will change anyone, a narcissistic person, a hater, a womanizer. It will change you because when you find yourself, you are that comfortable to be who you are in front of anyone. And you're not going to let anyone, narcissistic person, a person treating you too nice, anyone treat you a way that you shouldn't be treated. So I know we're throwing out a lot of definitions and stuff, but when I say self knowledge or being self aware, I'm talking about a consciousness. It's
Yeah, that's
more than just an
I should have
awareness.
never let him in the first place. It's like, yeah, I see
Boom,
what you're saying.
boom. The consciousness that comes in was like, oh, but you let him in for a reason. Something you needed from that relationship. Believe it or not, you needed something from that relationship, no matter how bad it may have been. And when
Mm.
you got it, like my queen said, when you got enough, you was tired. And I'm done.
Yep.
Like
Like
a
you
light
said, a light
switch.
switch. I'm done.
I do want to address I whom okay, I do see where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from at this point. He's basically saying that when he wrote the comment that knowledge or of self doesn't equal to wisdom or understanding of self, he's basically saying that knowledge is to just have information. Wisdom is to apply the information
Absolutely.
Right.
and that's how you gain the understanding, and
And
that's what I'm
understanding is to
saying
use the
self-awareness
information.
is. Self-awareness is the wisdom of yourself. It is okay, this is me now, this is how I know I have to operate because this is me.
Right. That.
That's
I know
what
I'm
I'm
way
saying.
up here and I'm acting like I'm way down here. I need to raise myself and get right, control myself, have discipline. All that comes with self awareness.
I agree. So the Yoni Nunu, did you want to chime in on the do you believe self-awareness plays a role in understanding narcissism?
Yes.
Okay.
I say yes simply because And I could be because a lot of stuff has just happened in the past, 15 minutes. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was keeping up, but I fell off a little bit. But in my opinion, I would say yes, simply because you learn how to navigate, and that's the type of person that I am. I feel like dealing with a narcissist with self awareness, you figure it out. You learn what you're going to deal with, what you're not going to deal with, how you are going to engage in conversation, how you're not. I'm gonna give a brief example, and then I'm out y'all way for a second. Um, my children, my youngest two boys. I'm a mom of eight. My youngest two boys, their father. We were in a very rocky relationship where I saw the red flags, but because I'm such an amazing person and I know that I have nothing but the best intentions for people, I felt like it was something that I can do to. At first, I wasn't using the terminology change, but ultimately, that's what it is. That's what it would have came down to.
Mm-hmm.
I decided that enough was enough. We broke up, and we spent years going back and forth because of how I was moving as a single woman. And this literally took place up until Friday because I had decided to move on and he couldn't get over the fact that we were no longer together and these were problems for him. He would make those problems my problems. And it was
Mm.
narcissistic behavior. I was the problem because I decided that I wasn't going to be the person that he wanted me to be, which was not conducive to me as a person. So every single time it was like we'd be cool, we'd be able to co-parent, then boom, here come a problem because I'm seeing somebody or because I'm not, coming over there to spend time with him and he's looking past everything that he did. Typical behavior, not wanting to accept accountability. Whenever I did bring
Mm-hmm.
something up, it was always some
Power
type
and
of
control.
rebuttal,
Yes,
you
very
know.
controlling.
And it literally went on up until Friday. I had to at that time know and understand who I am because as I said in the beginning, I'm a work in progress. I had to understand then who I am and why I am no longer accepting these conversations, nor am I going to entertain them. And basically, the bottom line was you live in a certain world, and I'm not telling you to get out of that world, but you can't keep me there with you. And I'm not staying there with you. And this is simply because I came to the conclusion that number one, we're not together. That's really the most important thing right there. But he's the type of person where he probably needs a little additional. So let's just lay it out there. We're not together. We are not we don't stay together. We don't do anything together outside of what we have to do for our children. I refused. But once again, because of my self-awareness and knowing the cards that I held, I was able to do that. It's been smooth sailing these past couple of days. Will it change in the beginning? Will it change later on down the line? We don't know. We'll find out on the next episode of Brittany. But yeah, so that's my answer.
Okay. No, no.
I think it definitely does play a part because it's like if you know, as long as you, because I call it like being in a bubble of denial.
Mm.
I would from different behaviors I was noticing. It's like you know what you're doing right now is wrong. You know it's bothering you, but you
Mm.
still choosing to do it. You know what I'm saying? But then when I address it, then I like she just said, now I'm the problem
Mm.
because you don't want to, you don't want that mirror in your face right now. So now you trying to deflect that shit back on for me, and it's like, yeah, we're not doing that because it's like you not you when you don't want to accept responsibility for your shit. That alone in itself is like you not aware, self aware, none of
Mm.
those of nothing. You don't want to be. You blocking it out.
Right.
Where the growth gonna come if you study blocking that out? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's
But
like, yeah,
normally trauma rolls with that. See, people aren't just narcissists, they just come out the womb being a narcissist. It
oh
don't work like that. Everyone, can we all agree that narcissists are under tremendous pain? Can we
Yeah.
agree
yeah.
with that?
Yeah. Most
We said
definitely.
that last week though. Like,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. So if we know they're under this pain, this is why I like to say, once again, self awareness. What about us is attracting that pain to us?
Well, me and him met at AA, so I think that probably lets that be noted understood. We was both in a dark place, and we connected over that.
But that's
Loneliness
not
can be
necessarily a bad thing. It just depends where the connection went.
To
loneliness kept
hell.
me in a lot of things.
It went to hell, baby.
Yeah. And
I shouldn't have asked that question.
she gave a
Because
good
I'm an
answer.
answer. I'm
She
an
sure
answer.
did. Clear and precise.
You know what I'm saying? It went straight the fuck to
To
hell.
hell.
Let me
Woo.
consciousness I said consciousness must be developed, though it is instructive, but none of it matters without integration. Um Narcissistic behavior can be positive or negative. Again, we are all narcissists, and I do agree with that. I think we all a little bit of something. We know how ADHD work on a slight spectrum. I know what it's like to get real distracted and be like, "Oh shit, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing." I know how it is to walk in the room. When I was teaching the people who had intellectual and developmental disabilities, and we was learning about all of those things, I guarantee you there was something on every single chart of every single disability that I saw that I was like, "Ooh, I do that." But the thing
I'm
that
going to disagree with that. I'm going to say we are not all narcissistic. That
I
is,
agree with
I
no, and
mental.
it's not,
disagree
and he's not
I
100%.
agree
saying,
with mental.
hold on, because that's not what he's saying. You're disagreeing off the fact that you think he's saying you clinically there. No, he's saying we all
No, 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 no,
display
no.
traits.
I'm saying that he's saying in me is narcissism, any form.
And
That's a negative.
we've all displayed traits of it. And maybe it's not true for you. That's fine. But we all house those traits. Because you choose differently is what makes you different. You understand that?
No, I house every
No.
negative trait there is. Every wicked trait is in me. I got you on that. But
Exactly.
the exercising of it, there's certain things I have never done in my life.
We saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But narcissism probably would be one of them.
But
Exactly.
you know
But
what?
you
Like
have the ability to do
I
it if
was
you
reading
wanted
that,
to.
and I'm like, I
Yes,
don't feel
I
like I
agree.
don't.
I do.
And I think that's what he's saying.
Okay,
That's
if
how I
he's
took
saying
it.
that, I'm good.
That's how I took it.
I got you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, hold on for a second. I may be the only person out of this six or whoever else watching the podcast, but I 100% disagree. Narcissists are not under pain. Sometimes it's just what you see. Sometimes it's just how you grew up. That's not pain. I grew up with a very close friend of mine, and he grew up where all he seen was nobody took accountability. That's not
Pain.
pain. That's just something he grew up under. So what
No
pain?
mother. Pain. Being
There is no
being
pain
grown
there.
up in the
He
streets.
just grew up.
Pain.
He just grew up seeing his
And
parents
pain.
take accountability. That's not a level of pain. That's just
It
what he
is a
grew up.
level of pain.
That's just what he grew up seeing. How was that pain?
Pain is it,
Because
that's
just
his
because you
invite.
get used to it and
Oh,
you learn how to
uh-oh.
dwell in something don't mean it's not pain anymore. You just learn how
Uh-oh.
to operate under pressure.
You know,
Where,
he learned how to make his pain normal.
where's
Absolutely.
there pain? Where's there where he just grew up seeing one thing?
That's
If
okay.
If
I
somebody
He
listen,
gonna
listen,
learn
no,
on
But
the
if
no,
they
somebody
start at
owe
job.
listen.
him
home.
an
What's their
If I
apology,
story?
grew up and both my parents were Crips and I watched multiple murders, I've watched multiple people getting killed, and
that's
everybody
pain.
around me like it's no big deal. When I grow up, how hardened am I gonna be from what I seen?
That's completely different.
Death wouldn't be anything. Killing someone wouldn't
No,
be anything because
Uh,
I've
that's not
seen it.
different.
no, no,
I
It's
don't
the
that's
think that's
completely
same.
different.
different at
That's
all.
completely different.
That's
It's
the same.
conditioning.
That's completely different. You seeing somebody die,
He's been
seeing somebody,
conditioned.
seeing
If
somebody
if
die,
if
and
nobody
seeing
took
have accountability.
accountability, if nobody took accountability for him, just say, okay, somebody's owed him an apology, but nobody wanted to take accountability, and everybody just was on a whatever mode. That's
It's
pain.
traumatic. Yeah.
Trauma. Pain.
If he was a little kid and literally say his parents forgot to didn't do something for him that normal children, would be able to
Didn't get a birthday.
experience. And they don't take the time. That is pain. It's
That's
numbing. It
pain.
may not be to a certain extent, but that's still pain.
It might
Remember,
not
you
be
got
Just
emotional
physical.
because he don't
pain,
talk to you
mental
about it don't mean that
pain,
he ain't dealing with it.
physical pain. You got a lot of different types of pain. It's not just beating someone. Okay?
I did.
There's a bunch of different, and when you experience this is what counts us. Yes, we are aware of our pain. As a narcissist would say, yes, he may be aware that he's doing the wrong thing, but the pain won't let him because he hasn't dealt with anything with himself. That pain and that hurt and that trauma won't let him be better, even if
That's
he
so
wanted to
true.
be.
That's
He's
true.
under so much pain and fighting himself. He won't deal with what's going on with himself. He's trying to push it on other people. Everyone else is the problem. He's in a cycle of pain that it takes almost a meteor to crack, something to fall on him to break it open.
Mm-hmm.
Only because I deal with the empathy. I see the other side. Most of us are always on being the victim. I like to think there is no victims. We're learning, we're progressing, no matter who we deal with, no matter what comes in our life, we're either getting better or we're getting worse. And if you have knowledge of self and self awareness, that automatically propels you to get better, to love yourself, not your mama, not your kids, to love you so you can put yourself first in everything. And once you can do that, the real love, the real open hearted people, the ones that we want to share, now we can share abundantly because now we know who to share with. That was my issue. I loved everyone. I always gave and I always got taken advantage of. I had to learn it. You can't give to everybody.
On that last part, man, I'm teeter tottering because even though I don't love myself, I innately know
You
who to.
do love yourself. You just don't love yourself enough to your standard.
I innately know who to share my love with. I innately know who deserves, who does. I innately know this just based
The
on.
two things can't exist at the same time. If you don't love yourself enough, you can't know who to love.
Yes, it definitely can, and
You cannot.
I'm living proof of it fully. I'm smart enough to know who I should and who I shouldn't
Okay.
love.
Are
Every
you married?
what?
Are you married?
No, I'm not married.
Have you ever been married?
No, I have not been married.
How old are you?
31.
31. Okay, you're still young, so you still got time, and you're a man. So you still got time, but you got to remember when you love someone, the love that we talking about, love, you don't really care about a lot of superficial things. A lot of things now when people love, oh, you got to look right, you got to dress right, you got to have that bag, you got to have this and have that. None of that got to do with love. Because what most of us need is healing from the opposite sex.
I,
Hmm.
teeter totter.
When you're down and you're out, you need that woman to have that being, that energy to come in, put a hand on you, and shit is all right. That's love.
Yep. That's
That's
your
what
safe
niggas kill
space.
for.
I
Right.
want to ask the question that Ayum asked: how can one love themselves without a model to go by?
Without a
That's a
who?
good question.
Oh, that's
That's a very
yeah.
good question.
That's a very good question.
You say wait. You said what? Did how can somebody love without a model to go by?
How
Like
can
a
Without
one
an
love
like a
example.
themselves
blueprint?
without a model to go by?
Just it's your choice. You choose what you put into yourself.
Hold
Are
on,
If you
we
hold
don't,
on. I'm
not
trying to get
all
a better
taught?
understanding of the question. I'm trying to get a better understanding of the question.
Me,
Without a model to go by, like a blueprint of how to love yourself?
No, without a guide or someone that loves themselves to see how it's done.
I don't need that. I make my own choices, my own decisions in life.
And
So,
how has that gotten you so far? As
I
far as
don't.
loving yourself.
I'm working at that point. I don't
Ayum
need
said that's not a
another
choice.
person.
It's environmental.
It's not environmental because my
No.
environment around me
that's
is.
spiritual. It wouldn't be
Yes.
environmental.
There it is. It's spiritual because if you're spiritual, you have that inner you to talk
I'm not spiritual. I'm mental.
to
I'm all
communicate with. Still the inner you.
I'm all in my head. I'm not a spiritual person. For me, it's I choose what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do. That's just what it is. I believe
So
in faith, not faith.
what's behind the choice of right or wrong to do the good thing or the bad thing? What's behind it?
Me
That's the
knowing
spiritual aspect.
me knowing whether I'm gonna do this and this happens, I'm gonna do that and that happens. That's
No,
what's
no,
behind.
no. Let's take it off of what's going to happen. What is the intent Are you intending for self pleasure? Are you intending to help someone else? What is the intent behind things? See, we don't get judged for what actually happens.
I don't go
We
into
get judged for the intention. But go ahead.
I don't go into things with the intent. I go into whether I'm gonna do decision A or decision B. If I know for a fact that Sally Sue just did something to possibly make me mad, I have the choice whether or not I want to get mad. That's me. It's not intent. It's just me.
Not if getting upset and being impulsive is part of you that you haven't dealt with, then you will get upset whether you want to or not to.
No,
But
no.
when you have self-awareness and you deal with that,
I have a
then you can make the choice you just said. Do I want to get upset or not?
choice regardless. You have a choice regardless with everything in life. You have a choice that you choose to do. If you
Mhm.
choose to do it, you're gonna do it. A lot of people don't get that. A lot of people feel like, oh well, I was taken away from my choices. I couldn't do this. Oh, well, I had a reaction. Or this, I was upset. No, you chose that. You have a
Right.
choice what you
I'm agreeing with you, but this is the difference between self awareness. When you're self aware, those things, getting upset over small things, angry, they don't happen. You're
I understand.
aware of them. You know what triggers you. You don't
I,
allow it to trigger you.
I get all that. What I'm saying is everything for me is just self. It's just my own choices. Everything
And
is my.
all I'm saying is, don't you have a part of you that wants to do the wrong thing in you?
I have a part of me that knows the wrong thing. I have
No,
a
no,
part of
no, 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 no. Don't you have a part of you that wants to do the wrong thing?
All the
It
time.
wants to steal it right all the time. It
Because
wants
it's
to
comfortable
steal.
there.
It wants to come up. It wants to do whatever it can do without working, without having to doing the least amount of work.
it's there,
Then
but
you have a part of you that wants to do the right thing all the time.
those are choices.
Those are
That's
different
not the
aspects of
that's not
ourself.
the question.
Those are
Those
choices.
are right. Those are not choices. Those are aspects of yourself.
You choose to do
Either
the right.
you're going to go through the low you, the low consciousness, the lower chakras, or you're going to rise to the higher chakras.
You
Only
choose.
difference is consciousness. The low consciousness wants you to do what's easy. What
Yeah.
looks good,
I
feels
agree.
good, tastes good, smells good, sounds good. Do it. That's what we want. The higher consciousness rebukes against what looks good,
Refrains
feels
from
good,
it.
tastes good, smells good, sounds good. It says we don't need any of that to be right, to be
Right.
happy, to be nice. We don't need any of that. Everything we need is in us.
So what you're saying is you stripped of choices. Then
You said what? Say it again.
No.
what you're saying is you're stripped of choices. Then
You're not stripped of choices. You take that whole choice thing out because of the things, because of who you are. If you're a loving
so
person, you have to fight to be a loving person every single day
why?
Be- because the world will try to take it from you.
And you choose to let it or not.
Some of us choose, it depends on what's going on. Remember, everybody ain't as strong as you, bro. Some of us are weak. Some of us, we fall prey. We got to
I
learn that lesson.
I 100%. I'm with you when you're right. 100%. I feel that. And
But
for me, um, everything is mental. Everything is a choice. It's not a.
everything is mental.
I believe that we already have examples on how to love ourselves. Due to the environment that you've grown up in, you know what choices to make and not to make on whether or not on how to love yourself, on how to
Mm-hmm.
love somebody else,
I agree.
on what that's basically the point blank in the period. You're a product of your environment.
Well,
Sometimes.
my environment was terrible, but I'm the complete opposite of my environment.
Not really, because of what you're saying. You just said you
No,
don't love yourself enough. Think
I,
all those are product of your environment.
oh, all those are choices that I chose to do. I chose
from
to.
the product of your environment,
No, I
from
chose.
being a part of who your environment is, who you are. It's
No, I chose
up
myself
to
down.
you to change that on what to
So
take
you know
from
what?
that
I'm gonna
environment or
say this.
not.
I'm gonna say this because I do agree with I do agree with Jarrell to a certain extent because again I always reflect back on that movie that I was talking about last week. Um, Help me out,
Jason's
please.
lyrics.
Jason's lyric.
Two
Oh
kids,
Lord.
they two kids brought up in the same household
You choose
under
what
the
you
same drunk ass daddy, same loving mother.
Exactly.
One chose to be like his dad. The
thank
other
you.
chose to do right. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? It's but again, but in the same breath,
But his
it's all about that
environment
work you
still
put in
played a
as
part in
well.
that.
It's
His
all about the
envi-
work you put in as well.
his
Exactly.
Like, dude wasn't
his
trying to be no bad.
But
environment
hold
is a
on.
he's still a
Which
product of
one
his environment.
one fought to be who they were? The
Based
other
Exactly.
on
He
one
put in that
choice.
work.
gave in to the environment.
Based on
One
his
said, I
choice.
He
don't care
didn't
what the
allow himself to
environment
become a
is.
product of his environment because he wanted different for himself. So
But
you
he
could
And
is
that's
grow
an
up.
still a
You could
product
internal
grow
of
up
his
in a
thing.
non-loving
environment.
home.
He would have never got outside of that environment had he not chose to do something different because his
Right.
dad was the example. He showed him, I don't want to be that. So he did
Hmm.
That
something
was the
different. His
model.
environment
That was
still
the
played a
role
part in his
model.
choice.
I get that.
You can't go around it.
But my environment had nothing to do with me not loving myself. My environment did nothing at all. Nothing.
But
Not a
your love
single
for
You
football
see,
had a
no,
big
no,
play in it.
hold on.
Your
that's
environment
You're
was
not
a
getting the whole thing.
football. Not
Your environment is what's going to shape you. They say us as black people,
Yes.
don't get it twisted. We're messed up. Why? Where are we at? We're in projects. We're stacked up on top of people like in New York. There's no room to move. It's the rat race. It's the rat experience. When you got time to move and open and be free, it opens you up. So your environment is critical. Is it the
Right.
all and everything? No. Like you have your examples, but it is critical. Only the resilient children come out unscathed, and they still need to get with the right people to do the right thing. You can't discount anyone's environment. It's not the end and all, but it does have its effect on every last one of us.
but not when it comes to loving yourself. Your environment has nothing to do with loving your.
Y- If you're in an environment of hate, it's going to have a problem with you loving yourself.
I
Hmm.
disagree. I have multiple friends that are in an environment of hate, and I'm sorry, but they love themselves a whole lot more than I do. And I've been in better environments than they have, but they love themselves a whole lot better than I do.
So
And
what happened in
That's
your
because they
environment
chose to do that.
that
They
you don't
chose to
hate
pick
that
no,
you
and
hate
choose.
yourself?
happened in my environment. Something happened in my life that broke me when it
So
came to
your life
sports.
is not part of your environment?
When it came to sports, that's it. That's all. No environment, just sports.
Sports ain't life. That's your environment. Your environment was playing football. That was your love. When it was taken from you, you kind of be like, "Oh, I hate everything. I give up." Let's be real about what we're talking about.
I,
Life gave you a turn, and you didn't want to turn with it.
now it's getting twisted because
You can't ride the wave.
the way the conversation was getting swayed. The environment was pretty much how you grew up because that's how I was just said a couple minutes ago. Grew up what you grew up around. Now it's saying, oh well, football is something you do, and that's your environment too. Now
No,
but
I'm
football
saying
was a part of your
football was
environment.
something
It's
that you
something you
was the
grew up with, right?
all and everything for you. It was part of your environment. It got you to where you wanted to be. You felt good. You felt great playing football.
Anything a part of your life is a part of your environment.
When it
Anything
was
that's a
taken
part of your
away,
life is a part of your environment.
I
that
chose
part of your environment was gone
I
and you
chose
rebelled against it. You didn't accept it. You rebelled.
I just chose to hate myself. That was it. That
You
was all.
rebelled. You didn't
I
hate yourself before
I
then.
don't think
So
nobody wake up
something
and
in
choose
life
to hate
happened that
themselves.
made you hate
I
yourself. I ain't saying you hated yourself. You just hated the situation
I chose to put hate in myself. I chose to not love myself. I don't blame my
because
environment.
you got injured.
I don't blame my environment. I blame myself. I don't
Does
my
that
environment.
make sense?
I blame myself, not my
You
environment.
let the injury affect how
Well,
you treat
that
yourself.
can happen too. Something
Yeah,
can go wrong in your life that don't have nothing to do with your
Especially
environment that
when you
makes
dealing
you
with sports like that'll lead
that's
to
what I'm saying.
depression.
My
Sports
environment
is
didn't shape
part
me.
of his environment. Why do y'all keep saying that's not part of his environment? It's a
No, we're
critical
not
part.
saying that. I think you're not hearing what he's saying. What he's saying is nothing happened in his environment to make him hate his life. What or hate himself.
Sports injury happened that made him hate himself in his life.
That
The
happened to his
injury.
life, not to his
My
not
life.
growing up in his environment.
Thank you.
What you're saying is
I want to
His
take a
and
minute, really, really quick. If you could just
Oh,
give me
hold on.
one
Let her
moment.
finish. She's almost done.
If you could
Please
go
just
ahead
let her
and
finish.
introduce. If you
no,
could
go
go
ahead.
ahead, what is it?
Go
I
ahead,
want
Jeff.
him to introduce himself really quick
Oh, go ahead.
and give your hash how we can follow you and things like that. And please tell me how to pronounce your name, honey.
Um,
Can we
Can
hear
anybody
him?
hear
Can
me?
he hear us?
I can't hear him.
can you hear us, bro? What is that?
Veda.
Vita, Veda.
I don't think he unmuted his mic.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think he can hear us.
I, I don't think you. I don't know. We can't hear
It don't
you.
say
Are
that
you
it's
not
muted.
saying nothing?
No, he ain't saying anything, but I don't think he can hear us. He'd say something if he could hear us.
It don't even look like he on our screen.
But so basically, what I was saying is sports was such a big part of your environment. Things that you, how long did you play sports?
Uh, what? 25 years?
25 years, right? So
That's
let's
part of your
talk about
environment
how
for
many
sure.
minutes or hours you played sports in your environment and it was taken away. That's all I'm saying.
But the environment is different from just
Is
it.
it? Is
It's
it?
yeah, because the
Your
environment around
environment is something that you create within your life.
the environment around you, like you said, something you create in your life. It's the environment around you. Football wasn't created
Sports
around
wasn't a part of your
football.
life.
Football is something I chose to do. It wasn't created around.
Football wasn't a part of your life.
It was part of my life.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. That's all
Regardless,
I'm saying. That's
Look,
all I'm
look,
saying.
listen.
regardless, I me the way
Now
I
Desiree they got up out of here.
my choice was to hate myself. It wasn't because of
Uh-huh.
my it wasn't because of anything other than my
But what brought it on? You
I
didn't just wake up one morning and say, "Oh, you know something? I think I'm gonna hate myself today."
I
You didn't
I
do that.
brought it I brought it on. I allowed something in my life to affect me. I
There
allowed
it is.
me
Boom. You
me
allowed
no
something
environment
in your life, your
me
environment, to
me
affect you.
me I did it myself. I did it myself. I pushed myself beyond my limits. I shouldn't have. I knew
Ten
better.
four.
I told something. Me, not my environment, just me.
I, I got you.
That's it. That's all.
Ten
It
four.
is an environment thing for me. For me, it's I chose to do this. I chose to allow it to happen. I chose to hate myself. I chose to put the energy, that lack of love into myself. I chose all those things. I could have just
Okay.
said, okay, cool. I played ball. I'm great at it. I still can play, just not in the NFL anymore. I had to
Right.
retire from the NFL early. Didn't like it, but
So
I
what
So
was
if you
wrong with that
chose to
choice?
do all those things, how come you can't choose to love yourself?
I'm doing so now. I'm doing so now because I'm choosing to, not because of my environment, because I'm choosing to. Not because I have a role model or somebody told me how to love myself. No, I'm just choosing to do it because I want to do it. It ain't got to do with no role model or me seeing a person love themselves or somebody showing me how to love myself. No, I just want to do it. I feel like it's time for me to
So
do it.
could we
I
say one thing? If you would have had a good example when you were young of a person that loves themselves, a mom, a dad, a uncle, a brother, whoever, that could have showed you something, you don't think it would have been
A
better for you
coach,
or
a
easy?
coach.
A coach, any, a teacher, anyone?
no, because football was everything for me. So no, nothing at all. I don't think
So
nothing would
who
change.
inspired you to want to play football?
You
Or
said
what
what?
inspired you? What
You said
inspired you to want to play football?
uh, I was just a little kid and I seen people outside throwing the football around, and it just looked fun. It looked like something that
Did you have a favorite football player?
you said what?
Your favorite football player, your favorite team?
Uh, Michael Vick, the Atlanta Falcons.
Ah, my problem is one sentence you say football was everything to you, but you don't include football in your environment.
No,
I
I don't
think
see
he's
how you can do the two.
confused. I
even
think he's
Would it
no,
confused
be
on what
football.
he's
possible for
saying.
us to move on to another topic though?
But
Because
yes,
like
let's move on. I'm
If
just
you want to
confused.
unmute
Okay.
yourself and we can see if we can hear you because you on mute right now. Can you hear us?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we can hear you
Yes.
We
now.
we got
there you go.
action. If
Hey
you could go
baby.
ahead and introduce yourself, give us your handle so people can follow you and know where to find you at.
Okay. Peace, peace, peace. My name is Veda.
Mm.
I got a few different handles. You can find me on IG under the Nowhere King. That's THENX WHERE. I'll post the link. And then you can also find me on Facebook under Veda. Um, the reason why I came on here because I was in the chat typing, and it was kind of hard keeping up with the conversation and typing simultaneously on my phone. But just to kind of run back on a couple of things, like the one brother was talking about he had no environmental influences. That's kind of counterintuitive to the human design. You learned how to speak because of your environment. You learned how to move in certain situations because of whether directly or indirectly, consciously or subconsciously. That's just how human beings work. Now, whether you dictate it as impactful, that's a whole nother story in and of itself. But saying that you observed people playing football, other kids playing football, and then you acting in that's environment. Because there's places that don't have football. There's places that don't even know what football is. Football is soccer in other places of the world. So if football became your one and your the thing that shaped you, that means that you learned your worldview was processed through football,
Through
right?
football.
Through football, right? That's external. That's environment. Because if there was no parks where you were from for people to throw the ball, if there was nobody around that liked football, then you would have never seen it, except on TV. But even then, you would see it on TV. That's external. That's environmental. So if you're around people that watch football, you're around people that sell dope, you're around people that rap, you're around people that do anything, 9 times out of 10, you're going to take that on because that is how the human mind works. All of the entire totality of our being comes from social interaction. That's just how human beings work. So what you're describing is a certain level of nihilism. You're jaded. You're jaded with the world. And as somebody who has also been that way, I can identify it because I've been where you've been. And I'm not that much older than you. You said you was 31. I just turned 34 Tuesday. So I'm not that much older than you. So our worldview, especially as Black men, our worldview becomes very much shaped by how people interact with us and how people don't interact with us. And that's where those traumas and those pains come from. A lot of time people think trauma is being beaten or being screamed at. Trauma can also be being ignored. Trauma can be smothered to the point where you can't function as an adult because nobody allowed you any type of autonomy or independence within your action. Everything was dictated to you. You see what I'm saying? So it's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
I get all that 100%. 10 toes down, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, all the way to the end. You feel me? But here's my thing right here. Feel me? Because look, check it out. So quote me if I'm wrong, Des, but didn't we say your environment is how, in a sense, you learn how to love yourself? That's what I disagree with. Everything else, cool, I got you. We're on the same page. Same page, same book,
We
same.
said it affects how it loves yourself. That's all we said. It affects how it loves yourself. Not that it determines.
Exactly, because the same Desi touched on it earlier, where she was describing how because of the negative connotations of uniquely African features in our society gets disparaged. The quote unquote being fat, black, and ugly. I used to get that a lot growing up. That's why Big was my hero. Because I'm still smooth as fuck. I don't care what you're talking about. I still
right. Self-confidence.
But that self-confidence came out of one place and one place only because my father, who is essentially I'm that man's clone, The only difference between him and I is I have a beard and he has a goatee. He's bald and I got locks. But we got the same face, same body features, the whole thing. I learned from my father how to conduct myself as a man. I learned from my father how to conduct myself in the streets and amongst other people. It's the same thing with my mother. But the point is our self-perception begets our self-love. If you have a negative self-perception, then you are going to have a negative state of love within yourself. Because again, you have to also factor in the fact that everything that we are has been turned into a negative for 500 years.
Absolutely.
Our conditioning has been conditioned.
Right. Television, news, newspaper, magazine.
Because how do you know? And I ask people this all the time, and this is a question I'll pose to the panel. How do you know your thoughts are your own?
The only way I know my thoughts are my own is because I've had to sit down and study me. I had to become truly aware of me. I had to throw out, even when people, when I thought that I was fat, black, and ugly, it took me looking in the mirror and saying, do you really think you ugly? You think you ugly? That's how you feel about you?
When you start questioning your own self.
Because everybody else said you was ugly.
Right.
Why is the question?
It's about love of self. If I love me and another woman says that's the ugliest, shortest, who eat four-eyed person, I don't care about what she's saying. That ain't got nothing to do with me. That's on her. Her eyes fucked up. It ain't got nothing to do with who I am.
but even beyond that, I liken it to art. Everybody is their own unique piece of art.
Absolutely.
One person can look at a piece of art and say, "Oh, this ain't nothing but somebody splashing paints on a canvas." Another person can see it as a conceptual representation of one or more emotions, right? And both of them will be correct.
Absolutely.
Both of them will be correct. To somebody, I am fat, black, and ugly because that is within their perception.
Absolutely.
For me, I don't take that. I don't allow that into my cipher because
that's
not who I am. I know who I am, and nobody else can tell you who you are, only because you got to deal with you. You have your thoughts. You have your emotions. So only you can dictate to you how you feel. If somebody tells you something, that don't mean you have to imbibe it. But if you get told it enough times, social conditioning in the way the human brain works, you start adapting it because you say, well, damn, if this person said it, then this person said it, and this person said it, it must be true.
Gotta be true.
Then you have to get to that place where it say, you know what? Maybe it is true. Either way, I'm still that nigga. And it don't matter.
But see, this ties it all the way back and around to being self-aware and narcissism. When you are self-aware, like my brother just said, you don't let those things happen to you. Only because the feeling of what feels good, tastes good, looks good, smells good, sounds good isn't enough for you to compromise your relationship with you.
And the thing is, in touching back on that, when we were talking about the science of spirituality, I'm first and foremost, I'm an ordained minister, and I've been so for about 5 years now. Before that, I've studied everything from the Kemetic sciences, of Hermetic Kemetic sciences to theosophy, Christianity, Islam, you name it. And one thing that is a common thread between all of them is how they describe spirituality.
Right.
We are spiritual beings living in a physical reality. Both are equally important. Thus, where the balance comes in. Because first and foremost, I can't develop a spirituality if I do not possess the tools to observe the reality in which I am in. So you can feel things, touch things, taste things, see things, hear things, etc., right? And your brain has to process those things because it's all connected to your brain. But then spirituality comes in the application. The application, not the information, the application. Because you have to remember, what was Buddhism before Gautama Buddha sat underneath that tree? What was Buddhism then? Right? It wasn't called Buddhism. It wasn't called Christianity when Brother Esau, better known as Jesus, walked the earth. He wasn't teaching Christianity. He was teaching the sciences of life. Right. He was teaching, if nothing else, he was teaching the ancient sciences via the Hebrew traditions.
The Kemetic spiritual cultivation system.
And even more than that, like, right. So now I'm about to fuck y'all head up a little bit. But for those who don't know, right, if you look in the Bible, right, or the Talmud or the Quran, it states that there are not just there is not just one God. There's multiple names for God, but there was more than one God. Because it is acknowledged by that, right? God acknowledges that there's other gods and therefore do not worship them. Because there are other gods.
I can't remember the state. It states in the companies of the gods, but go ahead.
In the companies of the gods.
Go ahead.
The council of 12 with the 13th being the most high. So what people don't understand is prior to in the reason why this all circumvents right back to where we are today, right? There was a God named El. Then there was the Elohim, which a lot of people think is a section of angels, but actually it was the proper title of a god that was worshipped in ancient Judaism and ancient Sumerian, ancient Babylonian. Like they took different places. Now, here's the science, right? That number one is telling our history of how we got here. Number two,
absolutely,
what it's describing is principles that are universal to all things, to all beings. So spirituality, they say life and death is on the what? The tongue. Because if you speak it and you think it, it will manifest in this reality.
Well, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh. But go ahead.
And the Word became flesh.
Right? I'm with you. Go ahead. I'm with you.
Because so now we talking about what? The science of what? What is a voice? What is word?
Right.
Word
frequency.
So going back to your environment, what is the frequencies that we as not only a people, but we as Black men are taught? What you're describing, your worldview being descriptive, right? Self-love was completely removed from us, both consciously and subconsciously, because it was beaten out of us. We can no longer connect to our ancient ancestry because it was cut off. It was preserved through things like Ifa. It was preserved through things like hoodoo. It was preserved through the Gullah traditions and so on and so forth. So we had to maintain something, right? Now, because the overwhelming frequencies that we're being bombarded with is negativity towards not only the Black man, but the Black man's perception of not only himself, but of his divine counterpart, the Black woman.
His environment, everything.
His environment. So now they tell us to focus on these things that don't technically exist. We focus on the illusion. We focus on the illusion, right? Like, for instance, like I was building on this not too long ago. Men do not suffer from toxic masculinity. They suffer from toxic femininity. And what does that mean? Masculinity, if you do the science between masculine and feminine, they're both genderless terms. Let's start there. Those are genderless terms. Masculine does not automatically equal male. Feminine does not automatically equal female. Now, the masculine side deals with logic. The masculine side deals with calculation. It deals with logistics. It deals with strategy, tactics. It is very black and white. It is informational based. If it's hot outside, I wear less clothes. If it's cold outside, I wear more clothes. It's that simple, right? Now, femininity it deals with what? Emotional intelligence. How do I feel about these things? How am I reflecting on these things? So now, because we have been separated from these things, right? Men, because we have had it beaten out of us and being told, be a man. Boys don't cry. Show no emotion. Show no this. Show no that. And repress emotion. Repress. We now have a negative connotation of emotion, which is a basic human function. It's a basic human function that is not relegated to women, that is not relegated to men. It is for us both. All things have emotion. All things have some level of
you can't be a complete man without having your emotions intact.
Say it again.
Intact and under control. Don't get it twisted.
Say it again.
Intact and under control.
Intact
we cry, we hurt like you hurt. When we feel sad, we cry just like you. We just choose to do it in the corner because it's so shunned. Whatever.
Because it's so shunned.
Right.
Like, and because it is being ingrained in both men and women, because a lot of times you look at the statistics, if black men are on average, right, statistically are being raised by black women, where are we learning these things from if the father is not in the home? If we are to believe these statistics.
And an emotional young black man is dangerous.
Is dangerous.
Because he can kill you off emotion, wake up the next day and be like, damn, what did I do? Why I don't feel like that no more?
Because I think that this all just ties right back into being aware of yourself. So even though you were shunned, even though you didn't have the right example, once you see the right example, it's about being able, somebody planted the seed. Either you're going to water it or you're going to destroy it. However you choose to walk, that's how you choose to walk. I will say that I think, like, just like you're saying, I agree with everything that you have came on here and said. I knew I was going to make this podcast an hour and we were still going to end up over time. And I appreciate you for coming in and dropping knowledge. If you want to see him again, he will be on with us on the 28th of this month. Him and his lovely wife. And I will put out the flyers and everything, and we will be talking to them. And I mean, he has a lot more going on than what he mentioned. Him and his wife got a lot going on. They're the ones, Nunu, that I was telling you about the retreat about.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so
yes, indeed. Just not to cut your wisdom, but yeah, no. Get it if you want to link with us. Look up the Akashic Garden on Facebook. Okay. Look up the Akashic Garden. Also look up Fruit of the Womb. That is my wife's imprint. She is a master at entheogenic medicines, as well as ancient techniques. We are purveyors of ancient culture and bringing our culture back to our people. So if you guys link on there, we have a website, the whole 9 yards, and we'll build a little bit more of that on the next episode.
Absolutely, we most certainly will. I do want to give you all the chance to give some closing remarks, and then we'll speed out. China Doll, you want to go?
No, I mean this was an interesting topic. And I respect everybody's points of views.
Okay.
I think it was very, very informative. Especially when you just jumped on. I just learned a lot. And
yeah.
Even down to the whole, the aware and the self-aware, the difference between the two is very informative.
Okay. Jarrell, how you feel about the knowledge you was just hearing?
I'm gonna be real. Okay, look, I heard a lot, you know what I'm saying? I heard a lot. I'm not a spiritual person. I don't do the whole Bible. Church. I believe in God, but I'm not really the whole like all that stuff. It's not really me. I don't knock it. I'm not against it by far. I don't judge.
We
People do.
weren't talking about that.
They
We were
love their
still talking about environment.
We
uh,
still talk about the same stuff we've been talking about the whole
Yeah.
time.
It
I
just
mean,
got a little deeper than what,
The
So
you know,
surface.
as
yeah,
far as
we went a
Brother Zeta
little
came in and brought the scientific, just broke it down.
he most
as far as
certainly did.
the whole environment thing go, I understand that. I get what y'all point of view is. For me, I'm all about choice of decision. So that's
Tenfold, I ain't mad at you, brother. Peace and love. I want you to be the best you.
oh yeah,
I'm gonna be real.
it
And look,
definitely.
like you said, you ain't gotta believe in God, but God is in you. You're part of it.
Oh
All
no,
you gotta do is reach that part of yourself, and you'll feel the same way the rest of us feel when we reach that part. Safe and secure. You'll
oh no.
know who you are, and there'll be no more questions.
Yeah.
I
That's a
believe
fact.
in God. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's yeah, I believe in God. The environment, like I said, I get that. I get where y'all coming from, and appreciate the knowledge. It's always all love.
Absolutely. Miss Yanni.
Um, it was very interesting to say the least. The last bit of the segment really felt like I had woke up on a Saturday morning because instead of just waking up and cleaning, listening to Anita Baker, we were listening to a lot of, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing
That's
and
what's up.
Kava Kameen, and
ISIS
so
papers, baby.
I'll definitely I'm halfway through it right now. I'm about to finish Revolutionary
Mhm.
Suicide though because I got to finish that.
Absolutely.
But
That's
Absolutely.
what's up.
I think
Brother
that this
Maker.
was very interesting. I see a lot of growth, and from both angles. Some that needs to be done, some that has been done, and this was good. Oh, and by the way,
Hmm.
y'all been making chili. It's fine.
I know that's
We
right.
know you was over there making something, girl.
Something. No,
That shit nasty,
look in
Lord.
the kitchen.
Don't come over here trying to get no ball rest. I'm gonna call the police.
That shit
I'm just gonna let
nasty,
you.
Lord.
You're going to jail, baby.
Toast of that shit nasty. Well, mental. You want to go or?
I would just say, I enjoy the energy. I love different personalities, people confident about themselves and what they're saying. I mean, we're all on the same page. We're all trying to get to just that bottom truth. Hopefully, we're all going in the same direction. All right. There's only one truth. We can get at it in many different directions, but we all going in the same direction, believe it or not. Okay.
Mhm.
No matter how we get there. So, I'm all about peace and love, and I just want everyone to know that there's nothing you can't do. Everything you need is in you. Everything. Meditate. Talk to yourself. Use that inner voice of truth. In the beginning was the word. Use the word to help you. Speak that word over yourself, believe it or not. So don't ever be afraid. I mean, nothing out here in this world is all a projection of your own mind.
Mhm.
Every fear is a projection that you fear, that you put out there.
Hmm.
So there's nothing to fear. You're so powerful, you just have to realize it with yourself. We're all the Neo in the Matrix. We're all Aquaman, Batman, Superman, all that's us. All
Yeah.
right. You just got to realize it. Those are the powers that we have. So,
Hmm.
peace and love.
Power in the
Mental.
tongue. Power in the tongue.
Mhm.
Just leaving it out, man. I thank you for letting me up here on the fourth quarter. I appreciate it. I appreciate you doing that. I now know that I got to use Chrome to get on here, but like I said, to anybody listening, um, a journey begins with one step, and wherever you're going, be receptive and open to new things because the greatest teacher is experience. So
Mm,
Mm.
walk this world
facts.
looking for experiences and looking for the information and the knowledge contained. Because like Brother Cat Williams said, the truth don't need no motivation.
Hey,
None.
you heard
So at
Right.
the end of the day,
None.
at the end of the day, anything that I've said today, anything that Brother Mental said today, anything that anybody has said on this panel today, we got Google, you got whatever you need. I also like to say for anybody that's avid readers, we have a library of over 7,000 books in PDF format.
Well, that's what's up.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that the Akashic Garden does. So get link up with us, you know what I'm saying? Get down with the movement, man. We out here.
The Akasha Garden on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
He said
I'm
he
gonna
gonna
check
put
that
the link
out, nigga. I
in the
love to
chat
read
for you.
now.
He gonna put the link in the chat. I do want
Okay.
to just thank all of you for coming on and always sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your life experiences with us. And I know it might not seem like much, but y'all don't know how many people y'all be helping. Because if I could tell y'all about the inboxes I receive, about the things, the way that people go against the way that you think, the way that they perceive you, I'm telling you, keep talking your shit, keep walking in yourself, be unapologetically you, because that's what self-awareness is. It's about understanding this me, this how I'm a roll, and as long as I ain't stepping on nobody else, you don't gotta worry about me, love.
Do me.
I'ma handle me to the best of my ability, and I need you to handle you to the best of your ability. So let's get out there this week and let's respond to our abilities. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Immersive Experience tonight, and I appreciate all
Peace
of you
and
coming on and
love.
sharing with us. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.
Peace.
All right, peace.